might not see me for a few minutes, or for a little bit. They will hear us because I'm not going to go through the trouble of trying to mute all the different mics.
Yeah, it really is.
It's Smirnoff Ice.
It's not Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, geez, someone's drinking Smirnoff Ice. This party just got real.
That's how we do it up here in Omaha. We ice each other.
All right. Okay, guys, here we go. We're going to get this thing started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to Geekvice episode 229, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip, and if you're watching this on the YouTubes, you can see we got 3 other guests with us that are, like, up there. We've got the guys from Omaha Underground Comics, O.M.U.G for short. All the way from the land of the Cornhuskers is a group of guys that are blazing their own trail in the cornfields of comics. They're taking comic book creating and publishing to a whole new level. Welcome Al, Ben, and Chris from Omaha Underground Comics. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thank you. Hello.
Was that a good enough intro? Was that special enough? Like for
that was quite the intro. I don't think we've had an intro like that before.
No, we've had worse.
Please tell me that was better than anything Eddie has ever done, because that's really all I do, is I just try to be better than Eddie.
As long as you promise he will never see it, then I agree.
Yeah. Destroyed it.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna tune in and be watching this live, I'm sure. So, all right, guys. Well, I don't know. Let's start off by introducing yourselves, and give a little wave so people know who you are if they are watching us.
So, I'm Al Garrison. I am the penciler and inker, half writer for Lenny Vernon Badass Trucker.
I'm Ben Crane. I am the writer, editor, admin guy, whatever else. Business manager, marketing, CEO, financial guru.
Hat rack.
Of O.M.U.G Comics.
Chris Earls, illustrator and colorist. Colorist.
Uh-oh. That's the hat you wear, you're the colorist.
Illustrator and colorist, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's new for me. I didn't know that.
You know, they wear a lot of hats. They wear multiple hats.
I do not. Learn something new every day.
Yeah. Hey, you got to throw those roles around. Just throw anybody on everything. That's how the small business thing works, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess first of all, let's start off with the basics. I'm sure you guys have been asked this a million times, but why O.M.U.G? Why did you why not make comics and send them to Image or any of these other stuff?
No, you're not gonna handle that one.
Since the start.
All right. Since I was one of the original founders, they leave it up to me to answer this one. We about 7 years ago, our other partner Luca, who couldn't be here, came to me with an idea of making comic books. He had a little short story. He asked if I thought it would work as a comic book. I said, I don't see why not. We found ourselves an illustrator and just kind of went from there. We initially didn't want to submit to any kind of labels or anything because we didn't want, in classic, small artist fashion, we didn't want to sell out and we didn't want anyone to tell us how to do our art. So we wanted control over everything. So we decided just to be independent, to sell it around Omaha and that kind of area, go to some of the little cons. About 3 years ago, Al came along to be our inker. He presented us with his story of Lenny Vernon Badass Trucker, and kind of in the same idea of wanting to be able to do whatever we want to do without any kind of bigwigs telling us, how to write or what our characters should look like. We just, decided to keep it small and local. And, if somewhere along the line, somebody comes to us at a con and says, we really want to produce your book, I'm sure we wouldn't turn them down. But for the most part, we like doing our own thing. We like being our own bosses and not having to worry about all the work aspect of it that would go along with being part of a big label, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. The fun thing about doing our own books is we really get to do whatever we want. So like in Lenny Vernon, we have completely fake ads. We have real ads because they help pay for it, but we also have completely fake ads, like kicking it old school with like old X-ray spec joke
Right.
ads, Pursuit fake ad. There's fake toy ads, things like that. We have a letters section in the last issue and moving forward with letters and that people have written in that are completely fake. We made them all up, So we have a lot of leniency, and we can pretty much do whatever we want, whatever we find funny, whatever we find entertaining. We have that liberty. So.
Are you telling me the letters that are in the back of Marvel comics and things like that, people actually wrote those in? Because I find that hard to believe.
That's what I was led to believe. I assumed,
Yes.
that those were legit.
I mean, some of the stuff, if you read those things, they're bad. It's they don't even make sense, dude.
Well, that's the intern trying to make it sound like a 12-year-old writing it in.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So okay. That's goes the cat.
Yeah.
The cat always likes to be on the show. If only it could talk.
She'll eventually show you her ass here in a second, so hang on for that.
Everybody likes cat butt. Eddie they've got squirrel butt, we get cat butt, so
Yeah.
There you go. There it is.
it's like a podcast arcade must. We're gonna get it into the other podcasts here eventually. So all right. So you kind of went through some of your guys' jobs and that you kind of parse this stuff out. Did you go and, I don't know, Ben, I guess, do you go out and try to find this other stuff, or did you and Luca really start all this with you guys being the writers, artists, everything, and then these guys just came along, or?
Well, when we first started out, neither Luca or myself can draw worth a crap. So we knew if we were going to do this, we had to find an illustrator.
Still can't.
Well, true, yeah. It's not like we learned how to draw magically in the last 7 years, or even tried to, for that matter. But so we knew we needed someone that could draw, and through a mutual friend, we met the artist for Culling. He showed us some of his work. During a meeting, he just kind of sketched out some character concepts as we were describing to him what we were picturing, and it looked amazing. So we just kind of forged ahead with that. As things grew, that's where Al came in and offered up his inking skills as just a way to accent and make the art even better. So we brought him on to do that, and then he presented us with his idea. Having 2 books that we were publishing, we decided we probably needed some help with coloring and other things, and so that's where Chris came along officially as a colorist, but he's also, like I said, an illustrator. So we've actually been pretty lucky that every time we kind of need something talent-wise, like someone just kind of happens to fall in our lap and is like, "Oh, you need an inker? I went to school for that. I'm an inker." It's like, "Whoa, well, cool. Come on aboard and see what we can do." And, "Oh, we need a colorist." And magically, Chris just appears and like, "Hey, I know how to color." It's like, "Well, hell yeah, let's do it." So we've been really lucky. So,
Yeah,
but I do writing and stuff like that because, as I said, I can't draw if I wanted to. So
I feel your pain. I try to draw and it just sounds it just looks terrible. My kids draw better than I do.
And it sounds bad too.
It sounds yeah, my drawings sound awful. So okay, so Al, you came up. you came up with Lenny Vernon then? That's all your thing?
Yep. Yeah, I just I don't know, I guess about 5 years ago now, I was just doodling and screwing around, and I came up with Lenny Vernon out of, I didn't want to draw superhero comics. I didn't want to draw another Spider-Man or spandex costume character. So I just thought, I'd rather have a character that was more just your everyday average schmuck thrown into extraordinary situations. I just found that more appealing.
Yeah.
And I came up, I think I'd recently watched Big Trouble, and so I thought a truck driver might be fun, and I started drawing a truck driver in different sketches, and then I came up with a 12-page, what was initially intended to be a submission that I was intending to send off to Marvel or DC or whoever, and then life happened, and I kind of sat on it for a couple of years, ran into O.M.U.G, and then everything just kind of fell into place, and I said, hey, I got this book about a trucker, and then everybody liked it, and the books, after we published the first issue, it sold well, and people seem to enjoy it. So then it's just become a thing, and now we're working on issue 7.
Yeah,
we've published 6 issues and a collected volume now. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I saw that you guys were selling the collected volume at O-Comic-Con. So
yes.
For anyone that was up there. Oh, nice.
Product placement.
That's right.
Close that hand.
Gotta have the product placement.
Right.
Okay. So and you've got the culling too that's out there, and I want to talk about this one because this one looks really cool, but it's only sitting at like 1.5 issues, or like I guess it's really 3 issues, like a 0, a half, and a 1, right?
We're actually 5.
Oh.
We're actually
6 total, because we've had 0.5 through 5.
Okay.
And then culling. Right, so 6 total.
Well,
the
then
culling is common.
I need to. I was looking on the store, and for some reason on the store I didn't see them, so I'm gonna need to, because that one looks really interesting for me. So
yeah, I'll have to talk to our sales rep.
Yeah.
and get the store updated.
You need a mirror.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But the culling we've got we've got 0.5 all the way up to issue 5, and then Chris actually did a side story. It takes place in the same universe, same characters, but it's not part of the official timeline. So that gives us actually 7. So 7 total publications in the culling.
Oh, nice.
If you count. Yeah. But anyway, I'll try to get the store updated. Otherwise, people can email us and tell me what they want, and if we got it, we'll send it to you, because we're running pretty low on some of the earlier issues of everything.
What's the story of the culling, Ben?
That's a good question. So the culling is a pre-apocalyptic story. The Earth hasn't ended, but it's going to. We, as humans, develop a wormhole drive kind of event horizon. Unfortunately, though, in our process, we Walmarted ourselves into the apocalypse because we made cheap drives with parts made in China, stuff like that. So it ripped a big wormhole in our universe that is slowly sucking us into it. So culling is a government-sanctioned program where you have to eliminate 10 other players by any means pretty much necessary to earn your spot on a spaceship to take us all to, or at least take the winners off the new Earth. So basically got to kill 10 people per ticket.
I like that idea. I like the battle royale theme. I like killing people. I don't know. I have problems, and psychiatrist hasn't been able to figure it out yet, so we just kind of roll with it. But yeah, that one looks really cool. So I will send you an email. We have in the show notes for this thing, or the description on the video and in the description on the podcast, will be linked with your guys' email address and your Facebook page and your store and all the stuff so people can reach out to you. And we'll make sure it's in here as well towards the end so that everyone can get a hold of you to get those books because those are kind of awesome. I know that the Podcast Arcade is huge fans of Lenny Vernon because our podfather has shown up in an issue of Lenny Vernon. So, that kind of makes us honorary fans, I guess.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Let's get back to the creating comic book side of it. What were you guys' inspirations for creating comic books? I mean, you had said, Al, that you had kind of watched Big Trouble in Little China, and that's where you got the trucker idea, or that's where you think you got the trucker idea from. What about the rest of you? Like the culling, where did that come from?
It was initially, Luca and I, at least, I think all of us for the most part are kind of big sci-fi fans. So Luca, kind of like Al, wanted to steer clear of superheroes with, the superpowers and whatnot, but still wanted to have some of the same kind of outlandish action and stuff. So he originally wrote a short story, I think, for a college class, for a creative writing class, that was basically the outline for what was to become The Culling. And we just take our inspiration, from sci-fi things, Blade Runner, Terminator, all that fun stuff, whatever we can come up with. And we try, it's hard, but we try not to show our influences too much. But obviously, as you look through the book, you start to see, oh, you guys obviously like this and like that, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
But, we're more on the sci-fi end of things than maybe the fantasy end of things. So that's kind of why The Culling was what, started us and kept going.
Very cool. Very cool. I am a sci-fi fan as well, so I think that's why that one hits home with me. So, Kip, you got anything you want to throw out there? I feel like I'm talking a lot.
You are, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Don't lie.
I'm just here for eye candy, I think. I don't know.
He's our cat wrangler. That's what he is.
Well, speaking of which,
they don't wrangle themselves.
Yeah, they kind of do. So when Aaron told me we were approached by you guys to have you on the show, of course you always do the Google search, right?
Right.
And one of the things that pops up when you search Omaha Underground Comics is another comic called Omaha the Cat Dancer. And I have to tell you, I was pretty disappointed to find out that wasn't you guys.
Nope, right.
It seems like a missed opportunity.
I can understand your disappointment. Yeah.
Omaha Cat Dancer?
You've never heard of Omaha the Cat Dancer?
Not until this moment.
Google it later. Google it when you got some
Chris is on it.
Personal time. Yeah, it's Omaha the Cat Dancer. Is probably the biggest thing that Omaha has its name attached to, really, when you think about it. Between that comic book and Peyton Manning, we really don't have a lot to hang our hats on. And so we have an erotic comic book and quarterback skates. It's an erotic comic book.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time.
I thought furries was a new thing.
No.
Okay.
In the late 70s.
For us. How did we come up with Omaha the Cat Dancer?
Well, one thing it was complicated already.
Well, there's that.
Hey, but you could take a spin-off of it, and just take it on your own course. You guys need to have that in your collection.
Do we?
I feel like Lenny might have an issue with that on his dashboard or something in the next issue.
That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
I like
got
it.
a lot of
Well, I always thought the biggest thing Omaha had attached to their name was, when I was a kid, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Right.
And I grew up in Las Vegas watching that show, so I thought Omaha was like in Africa or something, because everything they did was there.
You thought if you came to Omaha, you were just going to run into Marlon Perkins and Jim?
Yeah, and then be able to chase down some lions or something. I didn't know.
Well, the zoo jump a fence, he can.
Well, you wouldn't have to run. You wouldn't have to chase down the line. That's what Jim was for. Marlon would always sit back in the helicopter while Jim jumped out onto the back of the antelopes and stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Did you ever watch that?
I watched, reruns.
That was great.
But what was fantastic is when I first moved here, kind of along the same lines, I saw the building, the Mutual of Omaha building. I'm like, why does that seem familiar?
Yeah.
And then it popped up on, like I said, like a rerun on Nat Geo or something. I'm like, there it is.
That's it.
Yep.
I don't even know where to take that now. I'm completely, yeah. Yeah, I'm completely off course now. So,
That's my job.
Remember,
this
you
is.
did ask him to talk, so.
I know. That's. I always pay for this. Well, there's a reason why in our description for every show it says that we will run off topic every time, because it doesn't matter what we're doing or what we're talking about. Kip will always take us in some weird direction that I am never ready for. So, you think I would be better at this after 5 years of doing this podcast together? I would be better. I'm still not better. I still get lost. Yeah.
I like to think of it as he has improved, but I've stepped my game up.
That's
I like that. Yeah. You got to keep him on his toes.
Right.
Right. So, all right. Well, other than your own comic books, what kind of comic books do you guys like to read? I mean, obviously you got to read something. You can't just read your own stuff, right?
So in the past, I've read. I grew up, in the '90s. So Spider-Man, X-Men, all the creators of Image Comics. I read all of their Marvel work, all of their Image work, all those things, and Batman at that time in the '90s. As far as the modern stuff, I still read some Savage Dragon, Hellboy, The Goon. What else?
You read some really off the wall shit.
Invincible. We're looking at my collection as we speak here, and yeah, they're judging.
Not judging, just commenting.
Just commenting. Yeah. So you want to go down the list and pick off the weirdest thing that he's got on his board over there?
Right. It's all pretty mainstream stuff. I don't really have any off the wall weird independent stuff, which is sad because I probably should read more independent comics because it's important to support independent comics and not just the big three,
right?
So to speak. So, yeah.
No, I understand that. I mean, I've decided to go on a crash course back. I got tired of reading the new stuff now and trying to keep up with all the stuff that was going on. So I decided I'm done reading anything that's coming out currently and I went back to 1985 and started picking up the original Transformer comic books, and reading those, which I have quite a few of them in hard copy, and now I'm just finding them digitally because I can't keep buying new comics. I'm running out of space. So off the wall, I kind of understand where you're coming at. They're still Marvel comics, but reading something from the late 80s, early 90s in comic book form is completely different from anything that's out now. So,
well, and it's almost unavoidable, right? Like you can try your damnedest to go out and read only independent books, but after a while, no matter what, you're always going to be drawn back to the big companies because they're big for a reason. They put out the best quality content.
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a reason they're that big. So.
That is true. What about the rest of you? What do you guys like to read?
I'm not gonna lie. I've actually only really gotten into the comic books probably in the last 8-10 years. Started out with the usual Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman, Superman, those kind, but kind of branched off to this stuff. Some few mangas, so kind of the Japanese influence is a lot with me. Akira, Ghost in the Shell. Even actually just recently, Ultraman. I started reading.
Yes.
I got a new spin on that. Been reading that?
Love Ultraman.
I guess they got like a Netflix series coming up soon. I was thinking, I'm trying to think of. I'm seeing the old Sentai style guy in a suit fighting a giant monster, and then I look up the manga and it's like, oh no, it's actually a guy in a pretty cool techie looking outfit. So why not? off-brand stuff like East of West. I've been reading that one. I read through like Why the Last Man, like from start to finish in the span of a weekend. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. I think no, I don't. I actually don't have those on my shelf. I don't. Why are those in a box? Those should not be in a box. Yeah, that Why the Last Man. Brian K. Vaughan is just really good. I like a lot of the stuff he does, and Why the Last Man was incredible. So, kudos to you for reading that in a weekend. That's impressive.
All other priorities.
Yeah, because that would have taken probably the entire weekend, I'm guessing.
I think right when I found out about it, yeah, it was all done. So
Right.
it was a matter of procuring every single volume that they had, and yeah, start to finish, read it through over the course of a weekend. Found out I missed on a test or something the following morning. Yeah.
Were you single at the time?
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
That explains a lot too. Yeah. I don't actually have an entire weekend. I have a wife and 2 kids. I don't have an entire weekend to do anything I want to do. So yeah. What about you there, Ben?
I actually in the same boat of I got a wife and 3 kids, so any comic book money I might have is kind of tied up in other ventures right now.
Right.
But growing up, the more I think about it, I was I'm so hipster that I was a hipster before hipsters, because I remember my brother read Marvel, he read Spider-Man, all that stuff. His friends were all into X-Men, and I said, "Oh, I'm not reading that stuff. I'm gonna go independent and pick up all these Image books." And so I read Wetworks and Newman, my 2. This is how original I was. I didn't want to read X-Men, so I picked up Newman, which is a direct ripoff of X-Men. So. But I had all those. I read a little bit of Ghost Rider every now and then, but I stuck with the Wetworks and the Newman. And then once they kind of disappeared, I was just kind of, I guess I don't read comic books anymore.
That hurts. You can't stop reading comic books. You just read less comic books. I mean, there was one point before I had kids that my wife looked at me and goes, "Do you really need to spend $100 a week on comic books?" I'm like, "Yes, they're amazing." And now I look at that and go, "God, I was stupid. If I didn't spend that much money on comic books, I'd have a lot more money now."
Hey, they were an investment.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to use that excuse once, and that's why I have 4 long boxes and I think 7 short boxes down in my basement that I can't actually get to because there's too many other boxes in the way of like kids' clothes that have kind of blocked off the shelf with all my comics. So I can't actually go back and read any of those. So I started going digital and just getting like purchasing what I could digitally, so that I didn't have to try to find them. Or, that way you can also get the older issues of stuff that are, I collect X-Men for a while. I have I have everything from 1979 through like 2015, 16 in the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men run.
Why? That is a collection.
Yeah, well, like I said, I spent a lot of money on comic books, and that was when it went back to try to get, if you try to get anything that's older than that, then it's like $100 for one comic book, and then I really get the, God, you're an idiot, don't do that. I have a harder time spending that kind of money. So, but yeah, I was a huge X-Men fan. I grew up. I grew up in the 90s, so I loved the X-Men cartoon, and from there it just spun into the comic books, and yeah, and that I never let go. I spent all my free time growing up in comic books, and riding my bike to the comic book store and sitting there, and at that time I only had, like $5 in cash, and I walk in and I sit there and I read every comic book and then walk out with one book, and the guy's like, "Dude, you can't do that. You need to stop. Like, you cannot just sit here all day and read comic books." I'm like, "Well, why not? Like, it's not a library."
It's not a library.
So then you had to find like other comic book stores, and you had to like rotate. So it was like one you go to one week, and then you go to another one another week, so that you'd hope there'd be a different person working the counter. They wouldn't recognize you. It
Right.
didn't
Do
really
that?
work.
Allegedly.
Oh, okay. Never thought of it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else? Oh, come on. Give me something, guys. What do you guys want to talk about now? We got comic books out of the way. Are you guys still watching all these movies?
Yes.
For the most part.
Yeah, I get around to them. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of getting burned out on the Marvel, the MCU.
Well, to be fair though, you also have what, a 1-year-old, 5-year-old, and 3-year-old, or 1, 6, and 4.
Yeah.
6, 4, and 1.
So it's not really up to you whether or not you see these. It's not gonna
Well,
happen.
well, no. I mean, I catch them when they're like on Netflix or something. Like I just watched Ragnarok.
That's true.
Just
you
now?
know, well, like a month ago.
Yeah. Hey, better late than never.
Sad.
But
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I said though, like I watch it and I like that one. But
It was good.
I'm watching it and I'm just like, all right, let's wrap this up. I think Marvel's run its course here. I'm kind of.
Oh. Have you seen Infinity War yet?
Yeah.
Were you not part of this other conversation?
Probably not.
Okay, no, I haven't seen Infinity War yet.
Change your mind when you see that one.
Yeah, I have an 11-year-old kid, and she eats all these things up with a spoon. She wants to see all of them. She's really excited about it. My wife likes them, so we end up going to the theater and seeing all of the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies, and the Star Wars movies. I've come to the realization that they're not made for me anymore.
Right.
My 11-year-old loves them. I'm entertained. I'll just leave it at that. And yes, but the Marvel movies, I'm excited to see how they wrap it all up, what direction they go in. I'm more curious about that than anything. But the DC movies, boy howdy, I'm looking at Aquaman trailers and that Shazam thing. I'm probably not going to see those. Probably going to skip right on past.
Oh man, they hook me every time in DC movies. Every time I watch the trailer, I go, "That's going to be awesome."
Yep.
And then I watch it and I go, "Oh, again, O.M.U.G again."
Yeah. So that has been a running commentary on this show for a long time. Marvel has built up a lot of credibility with me, so I will go see just about any Marvel movie. Well, let me rephrase that. I have seen every Marvel movie that has been out there, whether sometimes in the theater, sometimes not, because like Ben, I have young kids. I have a 9 and 6, and trying to get free time to take those kids to go. Well, my 6-year-old can't sit through a 3-hour movie, so that's just not happening. My 9-year-old can, kind of, but he starts kicking the seat in front of him, and then you get somebody yelling at you during the movie, and so then I miss part of the movie because the guy's yelling at me. So I usually wait till they come out on DVD or Netflix and pick them up that way, but. Yeah, DC has really. I'm just like you, Ben. I watch these trailers and I'm like, oh, that could be really good. And then I watch the movie and get really upset and angry. And, I haven't walked out of a movie yet, but I've actually turned off a movie, that I'm watching. And, Green Lantern, Batman versus Superman.
What's horrible is I'll talk to these guys because they see them, maybe in the theater or maybe when they're new, and they just lament about how horrible they were, and I'm like, oh, that sounds awful. And then I'll be cruising Netflix or HBO or something. I'm like, oh, hey, Suicide Squad's on. Let's check that out. Even though I just talked to Al 3 days ago and he told me how awful it was and the plot goes everywhere, and I'm like, I bet it's good. And I watch it, I'm like, Al was right. You think I would learn, but I don't.
Yeah, no.
I will say this. Suicide Squad had one of the best trailers.
Yes.
Actually, they had like 2 trailers that were just amazing.
Yeah.
And those trailers had everybody, like they knew exactly what they were doing with those things. They had everybody salivating for that.
Yeah.
And then it came out and you're just like, ugh. And it was one of those movies where you're just watching it, literally waiting for the fun parts that you saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
You couldn't care less about what's actually happening. You just want the trailer bits.
Which they might have cut out anyway.
Right. There were a couple bits that they did cut out. But yeah, oh man, it was such a bad movie. And that's why, like, I don't know, if like 2 weeks after Aquaman comes out, it's still the #1 movie and everybody and their mother is saying it's amazing and it's 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, then I might Redbox it, but otherwise I'm probably not going to see it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna see it on opening weekend, and for one reason only, and that's because my wife will want to see him with his shirt off for
Yeah.
2 hours solid.
Right.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to see me with my shirt off for 2 hours solid, but it's okay for him. So
Yeah.
Right.
You just get the Aquaman tattoos and you'd be set.
There you go.
yeah, that's not even gonna help.
Pacific Islander tattoos all over. That's not
And I'm laughing so hard because I've actually, yeah, John. No, that's not really gonna help, John. Sorry.
Nope, it's not gonna help.
Nope. Yeah, and that was something. It's funny that you say that because I'm pretty sure my wife has said the same thing. She's like, "Oh, that movie looks good." I'm like, "You don't want to see that movie. You don't want to see any of the Marvel movies. They're way better." Like, yeah, that looks
Right.
good. No, it doesn't. Shut up. Just
It's
tell
not
the
gonna be.
truth. Yeah.
Hey, I had to sit through the Meg this weekend just because Jason Statham is in it.
How was
And there was
that?
what was it? What's that?
How was it?
It was actually okay. I had
I want to see it.
Yeah.
it was Jaws with a British accent.
It was Jaws with a British accent. Nice. That's because that's
It
what they
was.
needed, Hey, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because if Roy Scheider was British, then Jaws would have been a hit.
Yeah.
yeah. That's what was holding it back.
That was
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I'm sure Roy Schneider, however you say his last name, doesn't look as good with his shirt off as Jason Statham, at least
No.
according to the two women sitting next to me at the movie theater.
You know who did though? Old Quint. Old Robert Shaw. He was dieseled out.
Talk about some eye
Yeah.
candy.
Yeah. Quint's from Jaws, the guy that owned the boat.
The drunken
grizzled
sea captain.
guy. Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
grizzly old guy. Eaten.
I had to explain
Spoilers.
to
Spoiler alert. Come on now.
I had a coworker that's not seen or ever heard of Jaws.
Why?
I don't know. So I tried explaining to her the premise of Jaws.
Is she
But I
12?
kept saying Rob Schneider.
Right? Now, did she then explain to you how media works in North Korea? How do you not know of Jaws?
I don't know. The main problem was I kept saying Rob Schneider instead of Roy Schneider, so that made her even confused.
Oh,
Thinking
jeez.
they were fighting a shark. We fixed it eventually, but yeah, for a long while she's like, I don't remember him then.
It's like that South Park bit. Rob Schneider is Jaws.
Yeah, that's a completely different movie with Rob in it instead of Roy. I mean, just gonna throw that out there. You can do it. Yeah.
Sharks.
Get in the shark. Jump in the water.
Adam Sandler would be the guy riding the shark. That's how it would have to be in that movie then.
Yep.
Yeah, Kevin James would be the shark.
Kevin James.
He wouldn't even be in a shark suit. It would just be him.
Right.
He just comes up and flops on the boat, just lays there. Yeah. I can see this now. This is gonna be the next sci-fi movie. Watch. It's gonna be sci-fi, made for TV movie.
I'd redbox it. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
Well, good thing this is being recorded so I don't have to take notes because I think we're onto something here.
Right?
We could make tens of dollars with this idea.
Idea. This is idea patent right here. Nobody can steal this idea from us.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh man. Yeah. We went there. So you're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
That's right.
And-
We're talking comic book movies. I'm still waiting for the film adaptation of Omaha the Cat Dancer. I'm sure that'll be on Netflix soon.
Right.
It,
I'm sure they're working on that as we speak.
yeah. Well, it's on the special Netflix Black that you can only get with a special login.
Right.
And a credit card.
And I know Aaron's password, so we're good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. What? Whoa. Hold on now. Oh man. All right. So yeah, we went there. What? Okay. So big news that I saw today. Do you guys watch any of the Arrowverse on the CW? The DC TV stuff?
No, I don't watch Arrow at all.
I'm assuming there's a love triangle with the very pretty people involved at some point.
Well, there are.
Yeah.
But so the DC, this is one thing that the DC, the DC, not the DC has done well, and that's their TV shows. And like Arrow, Flash, even Legends of Tomorrow, like those, and they're all on the CW, so you would expect them to just be like, like really bad, campy stuff like Vampire Diaries, but they're actually written really well. Um, they've greenlit a Batwoman TV series.
I have been
Yeah.
hearing it.
Who did they choose for that? Somebody familiar.
Ruby
Ruby
Rose.
Rose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ruby Rose, who's been in like Orange Is the New Black and a whole
She was
bunch.
in the Meg.
Yeah,
The men.
Did she get eaten by the shark?
Spoilers. Spoilers. I haven't seen it yet. I don't want to know.
I just don't want to give it away. You'll have to find out at the Oscar ceremony, I guess.
Sounds fair.
You can nod or shake your head. I'll look away.
He doesn't. He doesn't remember, so it's okay. He fell asleep during the movie. Don't let him lie to you. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that they're going to go with Batwoman. Have either of you or any of you guys read any of the Batwoman comic books?
No, not a long time. I know. Didn't they announce like the latest iteration of Batwoman's supposed to be a lesbian?
Yeah.
Yes. And
I'm sure she's Batgirl though.
It's not Batgirl.
It's not Batgirl grown up.
no.
It's a different.
It's a
new
separate.
character.
Like
Yeah.
Like 5. Why not like 3 Batwomen?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's I wish I could remember who wrote those comics. And I have something called the Googles that I should, like use, but
They take all the fun out of it.
but yeah, those are actually really good. Greg Rucka.
Yeah, I'm actually well, like I said, I got myself sucked into Arrow. I haven't really watched any of the other DC shows on CW, but I do actually enjoy Arrow. It's all. I assume I would enjoy Flash since it seems like it's kind of the same, within the same universe, obviously, but like same style of show. Like it almost seems like it's the same creative team, that works on all these shows together. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see what they do with Batwoman too. So.
Yeah, I am too. Because the idea that it's going to be taking place, still going to take place in Gotham, so you have still kind of that. It's a different city from where everyone else is, and so they could do some crossovers. But Batwoman, like the comic books, at least the ones that were out, 5-6 years ago that I was actually reading at the time, they were much more. They were less. They were kind of like in along the lines that you guys enjoy, where it's not really it's a cape and a superhero, but she was really more kind of got back to the Batman roots of being more of a detective and almost like a CIA operative rather than a detective cop, or some vigilante. She was really more, it was really more along the lines of trying to figure out who did things and who, instead of just always knowing, oh, this was the bad guy, it was just this guy over here, I'm gonna go beat the crap out of him. So I hope that they kind of keep that in the TV show too, and kind of make it a crime procedural almost, rather than, which would be a different take than both Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, all that stuff would be. But yeah, if you have, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're looking forward to that, have you been as part of the CW DC universe, is the Titans TV show going to be part of that?
Ask about that.
I've seen the trailer. That's all I really know about the newest TV show.
I don't think that's going to be on CW, since the whole hook of the trailer was
Robin
Yeah,
saying
right.
F Batman.
expressing his thoughts on Batman. Yeah.
Well, and I don't. Is that going to be a TV show or is that a movie?
I think
TV
it's a
show.
TV
It's
show.
supposed to be syndicated, so I didn't know if it's going to be like part of the CW or if they were going to start their own like streaming service, like
Titan Network.
CBS did with Star Trek.
Well, and DC is trying to do that. I know I keep getting advertisements on my damn Facebook feed for DC something, I forgot what they called it, a DC Universe or whatever. Yeah, and it's supposed to be like a streaming service, and I wonder maybe then that's what that's supposed to be on. I didn't like the look of that trailer though. Like that didn't. I don't know.
See,
Watch the cartoon.
I like the trailer because I mean, the Teen Titans on Cartoon Network is really my only reference for.
Okay, are we talking Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go?
Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
sorry.
No.
So obviously it's made for the 6-year-old.
I'm gonna say it's not made for you.
Right.
Don't judge it. It's not made for you.
but then when I saw this trailer, I was like, oh, my head says, oh, an adult version of Teen Titans. I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm sure this is how Teen Titans or Titans, whatever you want to call it, started out as, and they made it a kid.
Yeah, probably more than likely. I don't know that. I just didn't really like. I don't know. I just didn't like the feel of it. I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't that rubbed me wrong. That I don't.
I know a lot of people took issue with.
Yeah, Robin.
With the coarse language brought to you by Robin.
Yeah, I mean, again, who's it being made for? Is it being made for the adult fanboys, the adult nerds that really just want the stuff, or is it trying to pull kids in? If it's trying to pull kids in, then that's not. I don't agree with that.
I don't think it is. I think it's aiming for people like
if
us.
it's aiming for the adults, even then, that's not. I don't know. It's not Robin.
They're trying to keep with the whole dark edginess that the DC movies have been trying to garner. I think they're trying to bring it to a TV.
Yeah, they need to give that up, man.
Yeah,
bring in some sunlight. Bring in some sunshine. It's okay.
Well, when you have Zack Snyder direct all of your movies,
seriously, what is the average rainfall in Gotham? Like, their sewer system must be amazing. Like, Portland and Seattle are probably getting put to shame by Gotham. How much rain do they get a year?
Oh, you're right up there with the Amazon basin.
They have to be.
Yeah.
Well, and my question is, there's never any sunlight, so how do the trees actually grow? Like, there's a whole park there, but there's no sun to ever, photosynthesis. Don't plants need that?
Dark and horrible.
Fake trees.
Plastic.
Right.
Well, but that's because it's the opposite. You got Metropolis that has super shiny Batman, or not Batman, Superman.
Right.
And then you got feed your own kneecaps to you Batman over in gloomy Gotham.
Yeah.
So kind of fits.
So then, are you suggesting Metropolis is in a desert because it never rains?
Have you seen it rain in Metropolis?
I mean, there's been pictures here and there where it's rained.
Only when Superman died.
I'd probably say it's
when
more
Superman
like
died, it rained like a mofo.
It's probably more like a temperature zone.
Yeah.
And I bet that El Nino pushed that from Gotham on that day up into.
Fair.
I love that we just went into the meteorology of comic books. We have Ben.
Topic.
Yeah.
Right.
Ben is the new meteorologist.
You can get into the Marvel universe too, right? So, seriously, bear with me. Spider-Man is in New York City.
Correct.
Yeah.
And New York City is on a fairly northern parallel.
It's per capita, 10 superheroes for every 100 per square mile.
But you never see Spider-Man in what? Does his web have the same stickiness in February? Because you get that brick and that stone of those old buildings. When it's 30 degrees outside, is his webbing sticking to it, or is he just gonna is it gonna fall off and is he gonna fall to his death?
Well, that makes a really good point because you don't see spider webs hanging outside, during the winter. They all they come inside my house and make them in the corners of my house. So
right.
That's a good.
So Spider-Man's a fair-weathered superhero then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you'd get the the old boiling water in the freezing temperatures trick where you throw it up and it just freezes immediately. I mean, when he's freezing
it's liquid.
Is it just going to come out?
Right.
It seems like it just come out as a
solid, and then just anchers into a wall.
I'm not sure
it becomes like a lag bolt.
I'm not sure New York gets that cold.
Well, I don't know the exact.
I don't think there's ever been any. I don't think there's ever been any Spidey adventures in the Great White North, up in the Yukon. There should be.
Yeah, why not?
The Canadians are missing.
Spider-Man in Siberia. That's the next show right there. That's the next comic.
Yeah.
Call Dan Slott. He's gonna do it.
Yeah.
That's why the spider was radioactive. Is the only way it could survive in that weather.
That's right.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, there you go. All right, everybody, that's it. You have now learned what comic books, what comic book creators actually have to discuss while they're creating comic books, and that's the meteorology of
Right.
of the settings that they're going to be using. So we're going to watch for this. Now everyone's going to go back and have to read every episode of Lenny Vernon and make sure that the weather pattern actually is like fits.
That's
Yeah, it's never rained in.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
But what's fun about Lenny is he's not trapped in a single geographic location because he's a long haul trucker.
He's a trucker. He's an over the road trucker. So
You know, issue 5 he's in SoCal. Issue 6 he's in New York.
That's right.
So if Lenny Vernon was turned into a movie, who would play Lenny Vernon?
I think Bruce Campbell would make a great Lenny.
That's
Vernon.
funny because that's exactly what I was thinking.
He's got the good build. He's getting a little older now, so he's got a little bit of that trucker belly to him. But his attitude and his over the top machismo, I think, would be great. Even, I guess the in voice as well. If it were an animated show, I think Bruce Campbell or Nick Offerman would be good.
See, Nick Offerman I'd go with, but for some reason when I'm writing out Lenny Vernon, when I'm doing the lettering, I have Sam Elliott's voice in my head when I'm typing his lines.
That's a good voice.
I don't know if it's a gray mustache, but
It has to be the mustache.
like I said, I'm typing out Lenny's one-liners and I hear Sam Elliott in my head. So
Yeah.
Oh,
that is a good.
So the next question, then we're gonna go right along this line. We're gonna take it there. Is there an animation, part of this that's gonna get started? Are you going? Is that the next plan for Lenny Vernon? Get him into an animated TV show?
Again, if somebody came along, like if Adult Swim or something like that were to come along, or if somehow Lenny were to find its way onto their desks and they said, "Hey, we want to make this," we are not turning it down. We will sell out like that.
Yeah, that just sounds like too good of an idea not to do. I mean, I really kind of want to see that now. Or you, the next thing is, somebody's going to just show up and knock on Ben's door and be like, "Hey, I'm an animator who can do motion comics," and then boom, Lenny Vernon becomes a motion comic.
I gotta rule it out.
yeah, we would definitely give it a run, see what happens.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you have to
if-
call. You've got to reach out to Sam Elliott on Twitter and see if he would do the voice for it. That would be perfect.
yeah. I mean, it's not going to be Dodge and steak money, but we could throw him something.
Yeah, right.
Hey, he might just do it out of the goodness of his heart. He's got all the money in the world. What does he care?
Right. Yeah, we could just tell him how much we love Roadhouse, and he'll be like, "Well, hell, I got 20 minutes." Right.
Yeah. Roadhouse close second to Tombstone. I know you died in that one, but
What about Mask? You're gonna just skip right over
I
Mask?
sure am.
He was dating Cher in that movie.
No.
Dude, he was a biker, awesome stepdad.
All right, then it can be number 3. How about?
I don't follow what you guys are talking about.
You've never seen Rocky Dennis story? Oh, you're missing out, son.
I know Roadhouse. That's the only thing I caught from the entire conversation.
Oh,
I'm
you need
sorry.
to-
You've never
need
seen
watch
Tombstone?
Mask.
The greatest Wired Earp movie ever.
Yeah, it's better than White Earth.
Yeah, it's better than The Namesake.
Yeah,
Even I've seen Tombstone. I mean, come on.
Tombstone's great.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Mask, starring Cher, Stoltz, and Sam Elliott.
The Jim Carrey one.
And I think
No,
Laura
not
Dern.
The
I
Mask.
think Laura Dern. Laura Dern's a little big girl.
No, but you could if you took the movie with Sam Elliott and Cher and you took Jim Carrey and you mashed them together, it would be a really good movie. That would be a great mashup.
That's right.
That
it
would be fun.
Yeah,
I need a list of these movies to get caught up.
you do. Watch while you're at it too. You'll thank me later.
I don't think I will.
Come on.
Will I?
It won an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean anything.
It means all kinds of things. It means that year the Academy deemed it one of the best films of the year.
That doesn't make it
That's
the best film of
precisely
the
what
year.
it means. Yes, it does.
No, it means a group of old dudes thought it was good.
Do you understand how the Academy works?
Yeah, they vote on
I
it.
don't think you do. Anyway,
Members of the Academy vote,
do you know,
and they're all racist apparently.
they're not. They weren't in the 80s. In the 80s, they were open-minded. Okay? They've only recently become racist.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's like legit criticism or if it
A
was
little
an
bit.
actual real good movie that I do need.
No, if you were to go back and look at the history of the Academy, you'll see that I'm right.
Oh, you would see the fact that it won an Oscar.
Yes.
Anyway, it is. Yeah, it won an Oscar. Tombstone is
I
a good
love
movie.
how adamant Al is about this. It's just like, no, they were not racist. They were not. Not at all.
Trust me, this will continue once the
It
stop
was a
button
better
is
time.
I probably should back off that stance in hindsight.
Just in case.
Yeah, well, there's no hope for them. And yeah, you do have to be careful because you'll end up like James Gunn and get fired immediately for something you did, 10 years ago. So watch out.
Yeah.
Or fired, not fired, I think is what the stance is now for Mr. Gunn.
Are they considering bringing him back?
Well, you got like Batista protesting and saying he's out if they don't bring him back.
Well, it sounded like a lot of, maybe not going that far, but most of them were saying,
Yeah,
no,
they're all-
we want him back. But I think Batista's the only one that's said, well, you should make the next movie without Drax.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that's already been taken care of, technically.
Is that a spoiler that I need to know about?
what?
Shit.
just you're gonna have to watch Infinity War. It's out on, like, you can get it on DVD now. Go get it.
No, Drax lives though. It's good.
And there's
my favorite.
there's the
At
contractual
least half of
obligation.
them lived.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just assumed you already watched. I'm sorry, I forgot the conversation an hour ago.
I'm not gonna tell you which.
Fantastic.
And now we're all like blacklisted because we released a spoiler on the internet. Oh darn.
Please put a big spoiler deal.
Marvel's going to be knocking on our door. About that podcast you did.
Right.
Yes. Honestly, if Marvel came knocking on my door about the podcast, I might actually shit a brick. Like, that would be so amazing. Like, no, really, you listen? Like, that would be great.
They would only want us for our shark Rob Schneider idea.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But yeah. Oh man. Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
229 episodes ago.
I think it started with, yes, you guys can be on our podcast. That's where you went wrong.
No, this is way too much fun. And apparently Eddie was watching at the beginning of this, so or at some point. So he was chatting in the text with lots of hearts and something about My
For
Little
some reason,
Pony.
he said My Little Pony.
Why?
Unfortunate.
Is there something we should know about this My Little Pony? Is this
It's when we were talking about Omaha. So is there a link from Omaha to My Little Pony?
Not that I'm immediately aware of. Thankfully.
leave
there
it
might
to,
be some sneaky brony underground here.
And more concerning, how is Eddie connected to it?
Yeah.
and on the next Daydream instruction manual, O.M.U.G will talk with Eddie about My Little Pony and his brony fetish. So, boom. Eddie, hope you like that.
Right. Pull the tail.
What do you mean we're kicked out of the arcade?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be expecting that phone call or very soon. You mess with the Podfather and you're all going down.
He rules with an iron fist.
Yeah. Yeah, I've received that phone call at 11 o'clock at night when I was like, he needs to talk to me, and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing on Facebook. Like, why is somebody calling me through Facebook? Yeah, it's Eddie, of course.
And you go to bed that night, and there's a head of one of My Little Ponies in your bed, and
a strip microphone cord. You know?
Right, right.
Yeah. Sprinkles edit. I'm guessing on the name. Don't
Right,
Is that
right.
an actual name?
I made it up.
Guessing on the name.
I
Right.
made it up. If you Google it, it comes out to be true, then that's pure coincidence.
And there goes Chris to the Googles.
Captain Sprinkles.
All right. We have gone on for an hour now, so we should probably put a pin in this thing. But we gotta go through this little closing bit here so everyone can find where everything is at. O.M.U.G, you can find your stuff. Tell me if I'm wrong, but here's what I got. I got facebook.com/O.M.U.G Comics, and I've got twitter.com/O.M.U.G Comics, and I got what is the store is like ecwid.com/store/O.M.U.G Comics. O.M.U.G Comics. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's ecwid.com/O.M.U.G Comics.
There you go.
That's our unupdated web store.
So if you focus on Twitter and on Facebook, there's a link to the store on the homepages there. So
yeah.
There you go. Is there anywhere else these guys can follow you at, or is that all those? Did I get all the places?
Like our home addresses?
Yeah, I mean they can come to your house and knock on the door if you want. I mean, like we might have some creepy fans like that. I don't know. I haven't.
Facebook and Twitter are our main ones right now. We're in the process of getting an Instagram account set up to show off some of Al and Chris and everybody's cool artwork, things of that nature. We're gonna be trying to do more podcast stuff like this. Maybe trying our hand at recording some YouTube videos, but mainly Facebook and Twitter. You can always email us at omahaunderground@gmail. So that's usually the preferred way right now, like I said, since our store isn't exactly updated to order any comic books that you might want.
All right.
You might order something on the store that we're out of, or something that we do have may not be on the store. So shoot us an email and we can set you straight.
Perfect. Well, expect an email from me shortly. So, because I'm gonna need some O.M.U.G comics. That's just the. Because, for some reason, it's really hard to find those down here in the Kansas City area. I don't know why. It's just like...
Because he never leaves the house.
Well, there is that. I mean...
Well, and it could be that it's Kansas City, and we may or may not have made it down there to market ourselves.
we have distributor issues there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got your own personal Lenny Vernon trucker to be able to drive the comics, down here. Is that the problem? You need one of those guys?
Yeah, I do, because right now it's pretty much me.
You need to find a Lenny Vernon cosplayer. That's what you need. They can have him drive it down. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bruce Campbell isn't doing anything right now.
Yeah.
He freed up.
Yeah, Burn Notice has been off the air for a couple of years, and that
Ash versus Evil Dead got canceled.
Yeah.
Evil Dead.
I thought he retired.
Yeah, he retired.
He can take time out of his book tours.
Yeah, there you go. Well, just and I'm sure Bruce Campbell listens to this, so he's going to be getting in touch with you guys really soon. Sure. So,
Remember,
it's calling right now.
Remember, Bruce, that's omahaunderground@gmail.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. And everyone listening should make sure you go check out their stuff. Go hit them up on Facebook and Twitter, and go check out their comics because they're super awesome. So, the ones that Eddie has let me look at when I'm up at his house, which has only happened a couple times. I'm not that creepy guy. Okay.
Does he make you put white gloves on and?
Yeah, well, he has to hold them and turn the pages, and so I have to just stand there.
You have to put gloves on just to get into his house.
Right.
Put the little shoe booties on so you don't track anything anywhere. No, it's weird. It's really weird. He doesn't do that for you guys when you go record the shows.
No.
Damn. It must just be me then.
He doesn't want those Kansas City cooties getting into his house.
Now it's getting really awkward. I don't know what to do with this.
That's what she said.
All right, everybody. Well, of course, if you want to check out the Geekvice stuff, you can check us out on our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. On Twitter, that man over there is at Kip Killigan. I haven't been drinking tonight, and that's the sad part. I am at Geekvice, and of course, you can always email us at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone, for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.